The silent threat. The Varkadian Empire had stood unchallenged for over 12,000 years, spanning 3 galactic arms and encompassing over 4,000 star systems. It was a marvel of efficient conquest. High Commander Jover stood on the observation deck of the Imperial flagship Undying Glory, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the holographic display of their next target, a small blue-green world in an unremarkable spiral arm. "Such an insignificant planet," he remarked, mandibles clicking softly. "Yet it teems with life." Senior Analyst Krell approached with the characteristic submissive posture of her species, head tilted and upper limbs folded. The Seldarans had been among the first races conquered by the Empire, and centuries of servitude had bred obedience into their genetic code. "The preliminary scans are complete, High Commander," she reported. "The dominant species calls themselves humans. Technological development is primitive, barely 3 centuries into space exploration, with only minimal colonization of their neighboring planets." Jover flicked a talon dismissively. "Another simple acquisition, then. Add them to the schedule for standard subjugation procedures." As Krell turned to leave, an alert chimed from her data tablet. Her elongated fingers paused over the display. "High Commander, we've received an urgent transmission from Araxian Intelligence Division. They're requesting immediate audience regarding this system." Jover sighed heavily. The Araxians were the Empire's most recent conquest, and while their psychic predictive abilities made them valuable intelligence assets, they were still prone to unnecessary alarmism. "Very well. Put them through." The holographic display shifted, revealing the colorless, translucent form of Chief Predictor Thala. Like all Araxians, her body seemed to shimmer with internal light, neural pathways visibly pulsing beneath her translucent skin. "High Commander," Thala began without preamble, "our seers have placed a Category 1 warning on the species designated human. We strongly advise against standard conquest protocols." Jover's lower eyes narrowed. Category 1 warnings were exceedingly rare, reserved for existential threats to Imperial expansion. "Explain," he demanded. "Our collective predictive consensus shows a 94.7% probability that conventional subjugation of this species will result in catastrophic consequences for the Empire," Thala replied, her form pulsing more rapidly. "These creatures possess unusual adaptability and unpredictable behavior patterns that defy our standard models." Jover clicked his mandibles in annoyance. "The Empire has conquered species from gas giants and neutron star remnants. We've subjugated hive minds and silicon-based intelligences. What could possibly make these humans different?" Thala's form flickered with agitation. "They learn from defeat, High Commander. They unite in crisis. Their historical records show a species that thrives on adversity, that transforms threats into opportunities with alarming creativity. And most concerning of all, they possess a trait we've labeled spite, a willingness to endure great suffering if it means their enemies suffer more." "Superstitious nonsense," Jovar dismissed. "Your species was recently integrated. Your prediction models are still being calibrated for Imperial standards. We have submitted 47 detailed scenarios." "Enough," Jover interrupted. "The conquest schedule stands. We will begin standard observation protocols immediately, followed by resource assessment and strategic infiltration." The Araxians' form pulsed with one final desperate warning. "The humans must not be underestimated. If you proceed, you will awaken something terrible." After ending the transmission, Jover turned to his first strategist. "Dispatch a scout vessel. Standard observation protocols." "And the Araxian warning?" the strategist inquired carefully. "Noted in the record. Then disregard. The Empire conquers. That is the natural order." Dr. Eleanor Chen stood in the control room of the Hawking Array, staring at the data streaming across her monitors with growing concern. As director of Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Initiative, she had spent her career searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. Now it seemed that intelligence had found them. The signal pattern repeats every 12.4 seconds, her assistant, Dr. Quamosi, reported. It's definitely artificial, and definitely not one of ours. Eleanor nodded, her focus unwavering from the data. Origin. That's the concerning part, Quame replied, bringing up a star chart. Based on signal triangulation, it's coming from just beyond Neptune's orbit. A chill ran through the room. Whatever was broadcasting was already inside their solar system. Have you notified the Security Council? Eleanor asked. The encrypted alert went out 20 minutes ago. They're convening an emergency session. Eleanor took a deep breath. Humanity had long debated first contact protocols, but those discussions had always assumed they would have time to prepare. No one had planned for visitors to simply appear on their cosmic doorstep. Keep monitoring. I want to know if anything about that signal changes. She grabbed her tablet and headed for the door. I'll be at the council meeting. The Security Council chamber buzzed with tense voices as representatives from Earth's 12 major nations attempted to process the implications of Dr. Chen's report. How can we be certain this is an alien presence? Demanded the Russian representative. It could be some sort of natural phenomenon. The signal contains mathematical sequences that couldn't occur naturally, Eleanor explained. And our long-range telescopes have detected an object that periodically reflects light in patterns matching the signal pulses. It's artificially reflective and changing position in ways that defy orbital mechanics. So they're watching us, the Chinese representative concluded. The question is why. Admiral Helena Reyes, head of the United Earth Defense Force, leaned forward. Throughout human history, reconnaissance has rarely preceded friendly visits. We shouldn't jump to hostile conclusions, countered Dr. Amir Kapoor, the representative for the Indian coalition. A technologically advanced civilization might simply be cautious in their approach. Regardless of their intentions, Eleanor interjected, we need to decide how to respond. Do we transmit a greeting? Do we maintain silence and continue observing? Do we prepare defensive measures? The chamber fell silent as Security Council President Mbeki considered the options. We will pursue all avenues simultaneously. Dr. Chen, prepare a first contact greeting package. Admiral Rice, quietly mobilize our defensive capabilities without creating public panic. And everyone in this room. He looked around solemnly. This information does not leave these walls until we have a clearer understanding of what we're facing. As the meeting adjourned, Admiral Rice caught up with Eleanor in the hallway. Doctor, off the record. Her voice was low. How worried should we be? Eleanor considered her answer carefully. The fact that they're observing us from hiding, rather than announcing themselves openly, suggests they don't consider us equals. That's concerning. The Admiral nodded grimly. My thoughts exactly. 3 months passed with the unknown observer maintaining its position beyond Neptune. Earth's governments worked feverishly behind the scenes, accelerating military technology development while maintaining public normalcy. Then, without warning, the signal changed. It's broadcasting on all frequencies now, Quame reported urgently. They're not even trying to hide anymore. Eleanor felt her heart racing as the new transmission resolved into a clear message. In perfect English. Attention, inhabitants of Earth. This message serves as formal notice that your star system has been claimed by the Varkadian Empire. Resistance is both futile and unnecessary. Imperial integration brings prosperity and purpose to primitive species. Prepare for the arrival of the assessment fleet within one orbital cycle of your planet. The message repeated continuously, broadcast with enough power to override communications worldwide. Within hours, panic gripped the planet as the reality of alien contact and alien threat became impossible to contain. Emergency sessions convened across the globe. Military forces went on high alert. Religious leaders offered competing interpretations of humanity's impending cosmic reckoning. Financial markets collapsed as people abandoned work to prepare for the unknown. In the midst of this chaos, a new message arrived, not from the Varkadians, but from an entirely different source. The transmission appeared simultaneously on secure channels used by Earth's major powers, bypassing all encryption protocols as if they didn't exist. When played, it revealed a shimmering, translucent figure. People of Earth, I am Thula of the Araxian Collective. My communication must be brief, as discovery means execution for my entire lineage. The empire that threatens you has conquered countless worlds. They believe your subjugation is inevitable. But our seers have glimpsed a different possibility. You are dangerous in ways the empire cannot comprehend. Where they see primitives, we see potential saviors. The figure pulsed with internal light. I have risked everything to transmit tactical data on Imperial technology and battle strategies. Use it well. For 12,000 years, we have awaited a species that could challenge the Empire. You may be that species. You must be that species. The galaxy watches, humans. Show us what freedom looks like. The transmission ended, leaving behind terabytes of technical data and strategic intelligence. Admiral Rice stared at the screen, then at the anxious faces surrounding her in the Pentagon's war room. Well, she said with grim determination, it seems we have an ally and a deadline. The assessment fleet arrived exactly when promised, 1 Earth year after their initial announcement. 7 massive ships, each larger than Earth's largest cities, emerged from hyperspace and took up positions around the planet. Their design was organic yet mechanical, like the carapaces of enormous insects made of some glossy, unknown metal. High Commander Jover observed the blue planet from his command center, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Strategic report. His first strategist stepped forward. The humans appear divided in their response. High Commander, some nations have mobilized military assets. Others seem to be attempting diplomatic outreach. They've made little technological progress since our initial scanning. Their weapons remain chemical projectiles and crude nuclear devices. Their space presence is minimal. Excellent. A fragmented response as predicted. Jover gestured to his communications officer. Open a channel to their global leadership. The view screen activated, displaying representatives from Earth's major nations seated around a semicircular table. Their faces betrayed varying degrees of fear, defiance, and uncertainty. People of Earth, Jover began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into human language. I am High Commander Jover of the Varcadian Empire. Your world has been assessed and deemed suitable for integration. Resistance has been calculated as futile by our strategic algorithms with 99.97% certainty. However, the Empire is benevolent. Surrender now, and your species will be assigned appropriate roles within our galactic hierarchy with minimal population reduction. Your culture will be preserved in our historical archives. The humans exchanged glances. An older woman with dark skin and silver hair leaned forward. High Commander, I am President Mbeki of the United Earth Council. We request time to consider your terms and suggest a meeting of representatives to discuss potential alternatives to integration. Jover's upper eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of amusement. There are no alternatives, human. You have 24 of your hours to surrender formally. After that, we begin standard subjugation protocols. As the transmission ended, Jover turned to his first strategist. Prepare the subjugation forces. These humans will resist. Briefly, as all primitive species do, it gives them the illusion of dignity before acceptance. And the Araxian warning. The strategist ventured. A final assessment of their prediction models shows them to be flawed. Jover replied dismissively. The humans are exactly what they appear to be, a divided, primitive species that will soon serve the greater glory of the Empire. On Earth, as the transmission ended, President Mbeki turned to her colleagues. Are we ready? Admiral Rice nodded solemnly. Operation Lazarus is in place. All participating nations are synchronized. And those who refuse to participate, they've been informed of safe zones. Beyond that, the Admiral shrugged. They've made their choice. President Mbeki looked around the table one last time. For 12,000 years, these Varkadians have conquered without challenge. Today, that changes. She pressed a button on the console before her. Initiate Operation Lazarus. Across the planet, in secret facilities buried deep beneath mountains, submerged in ocean trenches, and hidden in remote deserts, humanity's true preparations began to activate. The Empire had arrived expecting a primitive, divided world. They were about to discover how wrong they were. The Reckoning. As the Imperial countdown reached zero, Jover stood on the bridge of the Undine Glory, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Commence planetary subjugation, he ordered. The 7 Imperial vessels simultaneously deployed their primary weapons, massive energy projectors designed to target military installations, government centers, and population hubs. The atmospheric interference that typically accompanied such bombardments would serve as a psychological weapon, demonstrating the Empire's overwhelming technological superiority. Energy weapons at full charge, reported the weapons officer. Targeting solutions locked. Fire, Jover commanded. 7 brilliant beams of energy lanced toward Earth's surface. For a moment, the bridge crew watched with the detached satisfaction of professionals performing a routine task. Then confusion spread across alien faces. Weapons impact negative, the sensors officer reported, compound eyes blinking rapidly. Energy signatures dispersing. Jover leaned forward. Explain. The beams are being redirected somehow. Sensors show a planetary energy field we didn't detect during scanning. On Earth's surface, networks of quantum deflection arrays, built in secret using the specifications provided by Thala, glowed with absorbed energy. Designed to appear as ordinary infrastructure to Imperial scans, these arrays now channel the Empire's own weaponry into massive storage capacitors buried deep underground. Admiral Rise watched from the UEDF command center as energy readings spiked across global monitoring stations. Shield network holding at 87% capacity, her chief engineer reported. Energy capture successful. Rise nodded grimly. Proceed to Phase 2. Across Earth's oceans, what had appeared to Imperial scans as routine shipping vessels suddenly transformed. Container ships split apart, revealing hidden launch platforms. Commercial submarines surfaced, their hulls opening to deploy what looked like primitive missiles. In space, Jover's confusion turned to amusement. They're launching chemical rockets. Pathetic. He turned to his defensive systems officer. Intercept those primitive weapons. Show them the futility off. His orders were cut short as the primitive rockets suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds, their outer shells falling away to reveal sleek metallic devices unlike anything in Imperial records. Unknown propulsion technology detected. The sensors officer shouted. These aren't chemical rockets. I don't know what they are. What the Empire was witnessing was humanity's greatest technological leap. Quantum displacement drives, miniaturized and weaponized, based on Araxian intelligence. The missiles didn't travel through space. They partially shifted between dimensional states, making their movement unpredictable and their speed unprecedented. Imperial defensive systems, calibrated for conventional weapons, failed to track the approaching swarm. The missiles impacted across all 7 Imperial vessels simultaneously, not with explosive force but with something far more insidious. Multiple hull breaches, the damage control officer reported, but no explosive damage. Wait. He paused, staring at his readings in confusion. High Commander, something is infiltrating our systems. The missiles had delivered nanite clusters, microscopic machines that immediately began integrating with and subverting Imperial technology. Another gift from the Araxians, enhanced by human ingenuity. Aboard the Undine Glory, systems began failing in cascading succession. Lights flickered. Environmental controls fluctuated. And most alarmingly, the ship's quantum communication array, its link to the broader Empire, went dead. We're being isolated, the first strategist realized with growing horror. This was their plan all along. Jover's mandibles clicked furiously. Launch fighter squadrons. Begin ground invasion immediately. I want boots on their surface within the hour. Imperial dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, carrying the first wave of ground forces. The Empire's battle doctrine relied on swift, overwhelming force to break planetary resistance before it could organize. But as the dropships approached their landing zones, they encountered no military resistance. Instead, they found empty cities, ghost towns with not a human in sight. Population centers are abandoned, reported the ground force commander. Scans show minimal life signs. It's as if they evacuated before our arrival. Jovert's unease grew. This wasn't consistent with any conquest scenario in Imperial records. Find them, he ordered. Spread out and locate their hiding places. As Imperial ground forces began urban sweep operations, they remained unaware of the network of tunnels and underground facilities beneath their feet, a massive subterranean infrastructure built over the previous year. Humanity hadn't fled. They had simply moved the battlefield to terrain of their choosing. Dr. Eleanor Chen stood in the largest of these facilities, 15 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, thousands of civilians carried on with daily life, protected by hundreds of meters of rock and advanced shielding technology. Similar facilities existed beneath every continent, housing billions of people away from Imperial sensors. The occupation forces are spreading thin, just as we predicted, reported General Santos, monitoring tactical displays showing Imperial troop movements. They're following standard urban sweep protocols, just like the Araxian intelligence indicated. Eleanor nodded. And our surface assets, in position and awaiting activation. Throughout the abandoned cities, ordinary objects, streetlights, cars, building materials, contained hidden components. Devices that had appeared inert to Imperial scans now activated in coordinated sequence. The first Imperial casualties came without warning. Ground troops simply collapsed, their neural systems overloaded by targeted electromagnetic pulses calibrated specifically to Varkadian physiology. Another crucial piece of intelligence from the Araxians. We're losing ground units by the thousands, the ground force commander reported frantically. Some kind of invisible attack. The troops just collapse without warning. Jovert pounded his command console in rage. This is impossible. Their technology was primitive. We scanned their entire planet. Sir, his first strategist interjected, I believe we must consider the possibility that we were deliberately missiled, that they knew we were watching and showed us what they wanted us to see. The realization hit Jovert like a physical blow. The humans hadn't been primitive or divided. They had been preparing, carefully, methodically, and with knowledge they shouldn't have possessed. The Araxians, he hissed. They warned the humans. That's the only explanation. As if in confirmation of his theory, communication systems suddenly reactivated, not with Imperial command, but with a global broadcast originating from Earth. On every screen throughout the fleet appeared the face of President Mbeki. High Commander Jovert, she began, her voice steady and confident. You came to our world believing conquest was inevitable. You came with 12,000 years of victories behind you. But you failed to realize one crucial fact. Humanity doesn't follow the rules of your previous conquests. The camera pulled back to reveal she was standing in what was clearly a military command center, surrounded by officers in advanced technology that shouldn't have existed according to Imperial intelligence. We've studied your tactics, we've analyzed your technology, and we've prepared accordingly. Your ground forces are being neutralized as we speak. Your ships are compromised by our nanite technology. You are alone, cut off from your empire. She stepped closer to the camera. But unlike the Varkadian Empire, we don't demand subjugation. We offer a choice. Surrender now, and you will be treated with dignity according to our laws of warfare. Your troops will be repatriated once we've established diplomatic relations with your government. Jovert's rage was beyond words. A primitive species offering him terms of surrender. The very concept was an abomination. Divert all remaining power to weapons, he commanded. Target their largest population centers. If we must die, we will take billions of them with us. The weapons officer moved to comply, but his console refused to respond. Across the bridge, officers reported similar issues. Critical systems no longer accepted Imperial commands. "I'm afraid that won't be possible," came a new voice over the communication system. Dr. Eleanor Chen appeared beside President Mbeki. "Your ship's systems are now under our control. The nanites we deployed have integrated with your technology at the quantum level. You no longer command your vessels, High Commander. We do." To demonstrate her point, the lights on the Imperial bridge dimmed momentarily, then returned to normal. "This is impossible," Jovar whispered. "No species has ever." He trailed off, remembering the Araxian warning. These creatures possess unusual adaptability and unpredictable behavior patterns that defy our standard models. President Mbeki spoke again. "You have 1 hour to formally surrender. After that, we will be forced to neutralize any remaining resistance. The choice, for once in your Imperial history, is not yours to dictate." As the transmission ended, Jovar turned to his first strategist, seeing in the officer's compound eyes the same realization that had finally dawned on him. They had made a catastrophic miscalculation. The empire that had conquered 4,000 worlds had finally met its match, not in superior technology or numbers, but in a species that refused to behave according to Imperial expectations. "Send the surrender signal," Jovar ordered, his voice hollow with defeat. 6 months later, Eleanor Chen stood in the newly constructed Interstellar Diplomatic Center in Geneva, watching as representatives from 17 formerly subjugated species gathered for the first Galactic Cooperation Summit. Among them, the translucent form of Thala moved through the crowd, now an official ambassador rather than a clandestine rebel. "It's still hard to believe how quickly everything changed," Admiral Rice commented, joining Eleanor by the window overlooking Lake Geneva. "In less than a year, we went from a single-planet species to the center of a galactic revolution." Eleanor nodded. The Empire had become complacent. They conquered through predictability, expecting every species to react the same way to their tactics. They never adapted because they never needed to. "Until they met humans," Rice added with a small smile. "Until they met humans," Eleanor agreed. "The irony is that without their threat, we might have taken centuries to develop the technologies we created in a single year. Fear is a powerful motivator." Across the room, Thala approached, her form pulsing with the gentle rhythm that humans had come to recognize as contentment. "Dr. Chen, Admiral Rice," she greeted them. "The Solarian delegation has just arrived. All 17 liberation fronts are now represented." "And the Varkadians?" Rice asked. "The new Transitional Council has accepted our invitation to observe the proceedings," Thala replied. "They're still adjusting to the concept of diplomacy rather than dominance, but progress is being made." The fall of the Varkadian Empire had been swift. Once news of their defeat spread, rebellions erupted across subjugated worlds. The imperial hierarchy, built on the myth of invincibility, collapsed under the reality of their failure. In its place, a tenuous coalition of formerly conquered species was forming, with humanity, surprisingly, acting as mediators rather than conquerors. "We could have taken their ships and their technology and built our own empire," Eleanor mused. "Many argued we should. Yet you chose a different path," Thala observed. "Our seers predicted this possibility, but even they assigned it a low probability. Victors rarely choose restraint. Perhaps that's why we won in the first place," Admiral Rice suggested. "We didn't fight to conquer. We fought to survive, to protect our home. That makes all the difference." As delegates took their seats around the circular table, a deliberate design choice to represent equality among species, President Mbeki prepared to open the summit. Her room quieted as she approached the podium. "Representatives of the galaxy," she began, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Today marks the beginning of a new era. For 12,000 years, the concept of galactic civilization was defined by domination and hierarchy. Today, we propose an alternative vision, one of cooperation, mutual respect, and shared prosperity. She gestured to the diverse gathering before her. Each of us has unique strengths, unique perspectives, unique contributions to make. Together, we can build something that has never existed in our galaxy, a community of equals, bound not by force but by choice. As applause rippled through the assembly, Eleanor felt a profound sense of both accomplishment and responsibility. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious but transformed. They had been forced to innovate, to unify, to become something greater than they had been. And now they stood at the threshold of a vast, complex galaxy that would challenge them in ways they couldn't yet imagine. They came to conquer us, she whispered to herself. But instead, they awakened us. In the great cosmic story, humanity's chapter was just beginning. The end.